My name is JennyRose Corritore. I am in New York, and my journey is one of which just as a person, I'm the person that like gives blood every 8 weeks because you can. I just feel very fortunate that I am healthy. I am able to help others. I very much believe in doing what you can for others when you can, and we can all do that in different ways. I've been touched by a lot of friends and family who have had health diagnoses that, need support, whether it's cancer, just a whole host of different things. So really the reason that I decided to become a living liver donor was because I can. It was interesting to me that I learned that the liver is one that regenerates. So I really loved that part of it, understanding that the surgery was much more intense than kidney. Because one of the things I get asked a lot is like, well, why didn't you do kidney? And, for me, liver just felt right because, with kidney, there are dialysis options, and I know those aren't ideal, but there are different ways that can help prolong somebody who is in need of a kidney. But for me, liver just felt right because I knew it was something that somebody literally needed to save their life. And that's what I wanted to do with my donation. I feel extremely fortunate. For me, I was the team that I worked with, and I don't know, I was with NYU in New York City, and can't say enough about them. They were beyond wonderful from beginning to end. Very transparent about the surgery, what it was like going into it, what the recovery would be like. Some of the things that was super important was ensuring you have a great support system, which again, I was very fortunate. You know, I made sure that the people that would be my support team were good with my decision. I chose to not really share my decision with a broader group because it was important to me that the people that were closest to me were good with it, because that's what would really matter at the time. I'm also extremely fortunate that I have a job that when I told them what I was going to do, they were extremely supportive. So those are two really important things that you need to have going into this. And I was very lucky to have. Interestingly enough, my surgery was on election day, 2024, so November 4th. Uh, I remember thinking that that was a good thing because I didn't need the distractions of everything else going on in the world at the time. The team was great. My surgery, I believe, if I recall, was about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I was very lucky. Everything went, as planned. They did take my left lobe, which for most they go with the right lobe. But for me, it just was the best option they felt was the left lobe. So everything went extremely well. I remember waking up with my surgeon like right there telling me it all went super smoothly. And then Harold came in and he was there and I felt very lucky. They did a great job of managing my pain for the first, you know, probably 2 days, really the whole entire time. But, I had epidurals placed into me to make sure that my pain was extremely manageable. I had the best care. They kept me in ICU for almost 48 hours because they could, not because I necessarily needed it, because they prepared me for 24 hours, but I just really had this level of care that was amazing where they kept checking on me. Everything, all my blood work was trending as expected, and as it should be. And then I was stepped down. Um, and I was in the hospital from a Tuesday, which was the day of my surgery. And I was really fortunate to be one of, kind of, again, I say best case scenarios. I was home Saturday morning. So I was well enough and did well enough and reached all the gates they needed you. Is your pain manageable? Are you tolerating a diet? Is my blood work? Everything was great. Harold was even able to stay with me in the hospital for a couple of days, which was wonderful. And then I was discharged on a Saturday The hardest part for sure was the way I was cut. I wasn't eligible for full laparoscopic, and they told me that going into it that I probably would not be. It was partial laparoscopic is what they called it. So I think the cut was the hardest recovery. It wasn't, like I said, I was on a normal diet. My pain was extremely manageable. I would call it uncomfortable for probably 2 weeks. And that was because of the cut and not, I'm a belly sleeper. I was not able to sleep on my belly. I had to side sleep, back sleep, getting up and down again, because it's your core. You're literally, the cut is where the core was. And it wasn't, like I said, I wanted to distinguish. It wasn't pain, thankfully, but it was a discomfort of getting up. I was like, oh, I feel this, but then once I would be settled again, I was really okay. And I couldn't lift. That was the only restriction. I couldn't drive and I couldn't lift more than 5 to 10 pounds for 6 weeks. And that was really because they didn't want the risk of a hernia, because that's probably one of the most common outputs of when you're donating. The sense of you could get a hernia in that area. And thankfully, I listened to doctor's instructions. That was really important because, I do go to the gym a lot. I'm a runner, all those things. So it was really important to like listen to the doctor, and I did. And, my first checkup was probably 2 to 3 weeks after. I was trending really well. And then I went in at 6 weeks again where they cleared me. Incision was well. I was able to drive again. I was on no medication. Really, coming home, they gave me pain relievers if I needed them. I thankfully did not need them. My recollection of the only medication I was on when I came home was more of I'm going to call it like a fiber replacement or a Metamucil or something like that, just to ensure I wasn't straining myself. And really that was it. And I was lucky. I feel very lucky. Everything went as planned. I was actually, and they laugh because they don't always want me to like tout this, but I was able to sign back on to work probably about a week to a week and a half after my surgery. But again, I am fortunate to work for a job in a company that I could sign on to just kind of do my emails, join some meetings as I wanted to. It wasn't expected, but for me, it was part of my recovery to feel like I was getting back to a normal path. But I was able to, say to my boss, okay, I got to tap out. Like, I need to take a nap. I'm just tired. And again, they were extremely gracious in what I was able to tolerate, when I was able to tolerate, and it all being on my terms. But I was probably back full time, again, working from home because I couldn't drive by the 2 week mark. And again, they told me to expect 6 weeks and to give notice to my company that it could be up to 6 weeks that I could be out. But I felt good enough and well enough to be full on back at 2 weeks. So again, I laugh because I was like, can I do this again? And my doctors laughed at me. You cannot because of how your liver is shaped. But that's literally how good I felt about the process and being able to help someone. And, I am now probably a year and 3 months out. And other than a little scar, which it's not even anything to speak about, because trust me, my bikini wearing days were gone years ago. I can safely say I have zero residual issues from this. I ran in the Marine Corps Marathon back in October, which was less than a year from my surgery, and I felt great about it. So I feel really lucky to be able to have done this. And I always say I would love to talk to anybody who's considering it, to tell them about my journey. So there was so many things going into it that were like unknowns, but once you're hooked up with the right hospital and transplant team, I can't speak enough about making sure that they were really good in preparing me for my journey. Choice was to go altruistic. I wanted top of the list, whoever was in the most need. Didn't need to know their background, didn't need to know what brought them there. None of that mattered to me. I just wanted top of list, best match for my liver. And that's just because, again, I felt that I was lucky enough to be able to donate, and I wanted it to go to the person most in need. I will say was curious about my recipient in the ways that I wanted to, I checked in on them often after the donation was given, just because I wanted to see how they were doing and that they were okay. I also said if it was important for them to meet me, I was okay with that because I did not want to take that away from them. Because for some people, I felt it might have been an important part of their healing and their journey. But for me, I am just the under the radar girl and always have been. I wanted to do it to help somebody and just kind of go back to my life and not have to feel like this person needed to meet me to thank me or to feel like anything more than just this person was able to get a liver that saves their life and to go on and to hopefully have a wonderful life. And so far, all those things have happened. I did receive a beautiful letter from my donor. I think I received it at my 3-month checkup when I went into NYU, and it was beautiful. You know, told me how thankful they were. They told me that, how much it meant to them that they would, I know it went to a woman, and I know it went to a woman who has a daughter. And she told me, that she would be able to see her daughter grow and have all of her milestones and to be there for her. God works in mysterious ways. And for me, it was just so fitting. I happened to lose my mother when I was 9 years old. To know that this went to a woman who would see those milestones that my mother didn't necessarily get to see from me was very, very, very impactful and very touching. And I'm just thrilled for her for all those reasons. And I do check in about every 3 months and with NYU directly. And she's thriving, she's doing well. I did decide to, because I thought about acknowledging it, what's the right, wrong thing to do. On our 1 year anniversary, I did write a letter back again through NYU and just wanted her to know that just her recovering and, being able to be there for her family is really the best news I ever could have received. And, I just hope that she continues to thrive. Again, that's been my recipient. I'm sorry, that's been my experience with my recipient. And it's been a wonderful one. And I'm just so grateful that she's doing well. I've struggled with what to do with being a donor and choosing to be an altruistic donor, right? So again, I speak to all these things like I like to go under the radar on things. I have friends who have done kidney donations, and I have very good friends who have actually started a run out in New York for living organ donation. So it could be any type of donation. But I realize, and even when I do, it does come up within a story and usually it comes up because Harold's like so proud. And he's like, did you know she donated a liver? And people are like, I didn't even know you could do that. So there's this feeling of having done it and having had such a wonderful journey that I feel a responsibility to share that journey with people, to hopefully educate people and tell people how seamless my journey was, how fortunate I felt to be able to do this. And I truly feel that I want people to know and be educated on it because what that might just do is bring more donations. Because everybody knows you can donate a kidney. Like when I talk to people, they're like, oh, I know you can do kidney donation. But I am shocked at how many people don't realize you can be a liver donor. And to me, your liver regenerates, which is one of the amazing things. So people don't understand that. And I really have decided that I want to help people understand that so that it might bring more people to want to donate to help save lives. Because like I said, if you're in need of a liver, and you're not getting a transplant, there is no other path for folks. There is no dialysis. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful treatments that can prolong their need, but ultimately, you can't live without your liver. And unless you get a transplant, that's it. So that's why I feel so passionate about now wanting to be able to help in any way I can spread the word because I just think more people would be willing to do it if they understood that it really wasn't so bad and you can live a completely unrestricted life after donation. And I just feel the responsibility to get that out now, having gone through it.